Welcome to the Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene on Strong Island Entertainment. Gee, I hope I didn't make a mistake with these two. They promised me they'd bring in some really good guests. Well, anyway, here's Frank and Irene.
Welcome to Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene. I'm Irene, and that is the very handsome Mr. Frank Conniff. Hello, Frankie.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Actually, I am doing good. I was just asking you where Millie was because I always like to see. There she is.
She's making an appearance.
Millie is making an appearance. Everybody who's listening to this podcast, she is reflecting. It looks like Frank's cat Millie is just looking out the window, almost like she's reflecting on something. Frank, ruminating.
I took her to the vet last week just for a checkup.
Yeah.
And she got a good report.
Oh, good.
And the vet, when I was talking to her on the phone, she said, Millie was being such a sweetheart. And that's the trouble with Millie is nobody ever gets to see her when they come over.
Right.
And they don't, and she really is such a sweet cat, but nobody except me and a veterinarian ever gets to experience that.
Right. They don't get to experience it. I wish I could say that I get to experience it. For a while there, I thought she was like George Glass. Remember that episode from the Brady Bunch? It was Millie this and Millie that, but every time I came over, I could never find Millie.
Yeah, she's very shy.
She's shy.
And, she doesn't know that she's done.
I love that Millie, and you can't see this because it's a podcast, but Frank's cat absolutely, even when she's being seen, will never directly address the camera. She's the complete opposite of me and you, Frank.
She is. She's not the publicity whore that we are.
She's not the narcissistic whores that we are. Yeah, not at all. So Frank, I can't believe it, but did I read this correctly? But we're actually need proof of vaccination now in the city, right? Is this true?
I just went to the website and got the app with the vaccination passport or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's really simple to get.
Right.
If you have your card with your information about the date that you got the vaccine and not even where you got it, just your zip code and the date that you got your last vax, and also one other thing I forget, very simple thing, and then it just you download the app and it's really easy to get.
It's almost like it really finds you. Okay, so wait.
Oh, Frank, I was going to say you tell them which vaccine you got, like Pfizer or whichever.
Okay, so you do the zip code and which vaccine. So what if I have just a picture of my vaccination card? That's just as good, right?
Probably, yeah. I'm guessing that, and also, not that you should depend on this, but my guess is that all of the indoor venues and everything are going to be a little lax about this whole thing.
I think they're going to be lax too.
The 2 shows I've done already, which was at Littlefield and at Stand Up New York, in the ad, they both said, must have proof of vaccination to get in. And they didn't check anybody for that.
They didn't check anybody. Personally, Frank, I wouldn't mind it because then I would be with an audience that I could talk about the assholes who are not getting vaccinated.
It's a good thing for them to check up on all that. So yeah, I mean, the fact that I was able to download it really easily is proof that it's easy, because if I can do it, anyone can.
No, Frank, if I can do it, anybody can. And we'll follow up on the next show. What kills me is that a lot of people have an issue with this whole vaccination. A lot of those people that have an issue about having this mandate that you have to proof of vaccination are the same people that try to tell women what to do with their bodies. I'm not saying all of them, but largely a large portion of these same people that don't like to be told to do with their bodies are the very same people that are pro-choice, which of course, pro-life, sorry, not pro-choice.
Consider the suffering and what people have had to go through in the course of human history. And now we're being asked to get a couple of shots to put a piece of cloth over the bottom part of our face. And people are acting like they're the most oppressed people of all time. I mean, people have just got to quit being such fucking babies and just do these simple things that will make things better for everyone, you know.
Exactly. So
But
that we can move on.
People dying of COVID is part of the Republican political strategy. And
yeah, exactly.
I wish I was making that up, but it's the truth.
It is the truth. And you know what? Like I said, these people that are pro-life are not pro-life when it comes to a woman's choice. They're not pro-life when it comes to the vaccination. And I'm saying this, I'm not saying every single one, but I'm saying a large people that are the type of people that are against a woman having the right to choose what she does with her body are the same kind of people that are refusing to get the vaccination. Anyway. We're going to just fire up this show, Frank, because I'm so excited. One of my favorite horror directors and filmmakers has always been Clive Barker. And today we have none other than Simon Bamford from Hellraiser. I'm sorry, Hellraiser. He played the Butterball Cenobite, this man, oh my God. And Mr. Jason Pollack, who is one of my favorite people, is also here to join us. Thank you for joining us. No. I can't believe it.
The Hellraiser Rubik's Cube. That
I know. I was going to say, you know what it was? Frank, you always beat me to the punch. I hate you sometimes, but I love you. I was going to say, this gave me an infinite fear of the Rubik's Cube after watching this.
I said the same thing.
Oh my God. Look at you guys. I feel left out.
And you all came.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
The sexual innuendo 1970s kind of came way. Just in that you arrived on my Zoom call.
Simon,
Jason, look, mine twists.
Mine twists. Now, it's a podcast, so we can't really see what's going on except for this Zoom, and I just want to be clear on that. But he's holding the what is that called? The box?
Puzzle box.
It's called the Lament configuration.
He knows better than I do.
Oh, the Lament configuration, because I don't remember them ever really specifying what that is. Now, Simon, right before we were backstage or whatever you want to call it, back Zoom stage, and we were talking, I was noticing how funny you are as a person. And when you were portraying the Cenobite, I feel like the Cenobite, your Butterball Cenobite was also very comical. Was that like a choice that you made as an actor, or was that in the character description for your character?
No, I don't think it was. I mean, apart from having a huge vagina in my stomach.
Wow.
I don't think humor ever came into any of the descriptions in Hellraiser, which is a shame, really, because Clive's got a great sense of humor. But no.
But I don't know, Simon. I felt like your character, the Cenobite, Butterball Cenobite, was very comical. The way he looked, and the way he was taking off his sunglasses and putting them back on. I thought he reminded me of like Freddy Krueger or something. There was that campy comical edge.
That famous comedy character, Freddy Krueger.
Hey, Freddy Krueger was masking before anyone else was, so don't put him down.
So did you catch that too, Jason? Do you see what I'm saying with his character in Hellraiser?
Oh yeah, he did the tongue thing was fantastic.
Yeah.
The tongue thing only came because the face wouldn't move at all, and the only thing I could get out of my head, but actually with me that you see is my tongue. So yeah, I there was a lot of tongue action. So I suppose that was a lot of
tongue action.
Did you get asked to do that?
Well, I thought when you went to hell that you know, obesity, you could at least overcome obesity, but no, you were an obese Cenobite. For those of who are unfamiliar with Hellraiser, how was it working with the master of horror, Mr. Clive Barker?
It was lovely. Clive is an absolute lovely chap, and he's one of these wonderful, warm characters. Because he's a writer, he's really interested in everybody he meets, because he knows that, like you, Frank, everybody he meets has a story and has a character that he can kind of lock away and take a bit of this and a little bit of that and use it for later characters. Do you do that, Frank?
Yeah, absolutely. Like everything you observe in your life is the potential to be something that you can incorporate in your writing. Nora Ephron had a quote that her mother, who was also a writer, actually said, was that everything is copy. In other words, everything that happens to you is potential for something for you to write about.
Yeah, and because
amazing.
Clive's so genuinely interested in people, it makes him, because he has that passion for writing, he's genuinely interested in everybody he meets, and he wants to find out everything about them. So he's a lovely person to work with. He's a lovely person to meet generally.
Wow.
And
Didn't you all do
incredible.
theater together too before Hellraiser?
say again, sorry?
Didn't you all do theater together before Hellraiser?
Yes, I worked with Clive in Fringe Theatre in London.
Wow.
With Doug Bradley, Pinhead. He was in the Fringe Company too. And
Wow. I'm
was-
sorry, this is amazing. It almost reminds me of like Goodfellas and all the De Niro films that when you know, in like comics, as comics, we start together and we kind of help each other out mostly throughout our careers. That was for Frank. so you start to work together. That's amazing. Now, so you guys also, obviously that's the connection that brought you guys all together to do this, right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we did Fringe Theatre, and like most Fringe Theatre, we didn't make any money from it. And it was supposed to be profit share, but all the profit was going back into these wackier ideas that Clive was having on how to create a skinned character on stage and how to make severed heads and all sorts of things. So we never made any money from it. And then we all wanted to be actors, professional actors. And we thought, well, the only way we can do this is to actually disband the company and go away and do more commercial type theatre, which we did. And then Clive was doing very well and had his Books of Blood made into short stories and published. And I rang him about 2 years later just to see what he was up to. And he said, I've just had these 2 screenplays made into films, but I wasn't very happy with the way that they were dealt with. And I persuaded the production company to let me direct and write the next one. And that was Hellraiser. And he said, do you want to play a monster in my horror film? And I went, yeah, that'd be nice.
And you became iconic after that. I mean,
Well,
you have action figures and you have a cult following, a little bit like Mr. Conniff over here from Mystery Science Theater 3000. So do you do the circuit? Like, do you go to these horror cons, whatever you call them, or Comic-Con?
Yeah, I do. And it's taken me all over the world, which has been crazy, crazy, crazy. Because to be honest, really, all I did in Hellraiser was put on a big fat suit and a head couldn't move, and the only part of it I could get out was my tongue. I was completely blind, so I couldn't actually even hit a mark on set. They had to like point me in the right direction, and then I shuffle forward till I could feel something on my feet. So there was no real acting involved. So the fact I'm here 35 years later still talking about it, and like you say, I get invited all over the world. I'm coming to America, hopefully I'm coming to America in October. If the borders are open to us Brits, to Fort Wayne. Well, they're open to you to come to us, but not the other way around. We're still banned from visiting you.
They want to get rid of us, so they're
yeah.
Can you blame?
But I'm curious. Does anybody, any of the fans at the Comic Cons and horror cons, do they ever come and do cosplay as your character?
Yeah, they do. Yes, there's quite a few butterballs come along. I've seen quite a few butterball tattoos on people, which I've signed various parts of people's anatomy, which can be quite fun.
Those guys probably get a lot of puss on the side. I'm pretty sure of it. A lot of pussy magnets.
Butterballettes.
Yeah.
If anytime I can find anyone at a convention with a vagina in their stomach, I'm all over it.
So Jason, I wanna thank Jason because he's the connector here and he's awesome. And Jason and I both love horror films. And when he mentioned, oh my God, Hellraiser, I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. Now, Jason, how did you guys meet? How did you meet each other?
I used to run a comedy club in the Crown Plaza Hotel where Monster Mania comes, called Rascals. And I was like a kid in a candy store when they came in, because I was a horror nut. And the Ashley Lawrence, who plays Kirsty, and Barbie Wilde, who was female Cenobite in Hellraiser 2, came in and asked me if there's a Walmart. And I drove them to Walmart because they said where they live, they've never seen an actual Walmart. So I was honored to show them the place where the real Cenobites live.
Right, and where people buy guns as well.
And then-
Oh no, they don't. They do. Wait, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no
Walgreens and
more of that.
Walmart.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
the UK, Walmart is considered very exotic and very special.
Well, then you'll really be impressed with Costco, sweetie. That'll really cream your pants.
I heard that Clive Barker wrote a horror story that took place there, Hell Greeter.
So
that night I saw Ashley. I think you guys were hanging out in the lobby of the hotel, and we started talking. I was with a friend, and you connected with my friend Lindsay, and we were talking about serial killers, and we just bonded over serial killers and horror.
They have a way of bringing people together.
Yep. That's what
no matter how many
brings people
pieces.
together.
Yes.
Death and murder, as we've seen with the pandemic. Simon, I mean, what was it like actually being in that costume for all that time on set too? That didn't look like the most comfortable, I must admit.
You know, the costume wasn't too bad because I had this kind of 6-inch gash in my stomach.
That Frank is very attracted to. And could fill with no problem, P.S., by the way.
Actually, the truth is the echo would be incredible, but never mind.
You didn't have to say it twice.
They used to fill it with, these days they have a special goo in Hollywood that they use for making people look slimy and gloopy and everything. Mm-hmm. But back in those days, they didn't. So they used to fill my gash before every take KY jelly. So it was almost a premonition, Frank.
I know. They actually asked to borrow my supply when it was happening.
Oh, here it is. When we're having talk like this, I always say to Frank's hands where I can see them. Hands where I can see them, Mr. Conniff. Oh my God. So this is interesting. I love horror. I mean, Frank loves horror. Maybe not as much as Jason and I. We absolutely love horror. But I was wondering, like, did you grow up loving horror? Like, and who some of your favorite directors and writers in horror were?
Well, for me, yes. I grew up in a tiny little village in England, and we had a newsagent, and while all the other kind of teenage boys were trying to get to the top shelves to get the porno mags and Playboy, I was trying to get Fangoria magazine.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I should have worn my Fangoria t-shirt today.
I made the front cover one. It was like I'd made it in the world.
Yeah, really.
Front cover of Fangoria. That little boy in that little village would have been so proud.
That's exciting.
That really is exciting. That's amazing that you wanted to do this, because often when we, actually, Jason had Ashley, I'm not going to even try to remember her last name, but she was in the movie The Human Centipede, which was like
Ashley Williams. Yes.
Ashley Williams. And, she was saying, I asked her if horror actually typecasted her and ruined her career, and she said it kind of did. Do you feel that it had that effect on your acting career, or do you even care? Because it seems like you love doing horror.
No, yes, I do love doing horror. You have a good laugh. The early days were not quite so good. Like the Hellraiser days, the worst bit was the head, because I was blind. There were no eye holes in it. There were no ear holes in it. It was 3 inches thick. There was no nose hole in it.
So how are you breathing? A mouth hole?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Mouth hole.
Did you ever get to a point where you spend so much time? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, Jason.
So did you ever get to a point where you spent so much time in that costume that you said to yourself, damn it, I'm a trained Shakespearean actor?
Yes. Yes. Sometimes they would put us, like we would be in makeup at 3 a.m. Sometimes we would be super glued with surgical super glue into the makeups and the costumes by 6, 7 in the morning. And then all the other actors would turn up and you'd smell this lovely fried cooked breakfast around you. But they said, no, that might melt the glue that's attached to you. So you can have an orange juice. And then sometimes we'd sit there till 8 o'clock at night and they wouldn't actually get to us. And we were sat there in this sensory deprivation. I couldn't see, I couldn't hear, I couldn't breathe through my nose. I couldn't talk to anybody else because I've got false teeth.
Oh my God.
That's like being buried alive as far as I'm concerned, Frank.
Yes.
That's a scary thing. But you know what, when you were mentioning Shakespeare, I was going to say that in some ways it isn't really that big of a leap from Shakespeare to horror, right? Because Shakespeare has witches and ghosts and all kinds of that stuff in his work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Shakespeare is kind of the leader for all of this stuff. I don't know. Since then, things have been much easier. I actually did the complete works. There's a comedy play called The Complete Works of William Shakespeare Abridged.
Oh yeah.
So I did that on an international tour, which was great fun. So I got to play Ophelia, which was very nice. Great story. I was playing in Egypt, and the Prince of Egypt, I didn't even know there was a Prince of Egypt, was there in the audience. And my character started in the audience. And it was dinner theatre, so they'd all had this lovely, lavish banquet. And I didn't want to be there because I was too nervous. So just before we started doing the play, I swapped with the director who'd been sitting at this top table in this big banquet room and sat down, and this character leant over and said, "Oh, you're new at the table. You aren't here. Are you one of the actors?" And I said, "Well, if I had to tell you that, I'd have to kill you." And everybody else at the table, as one, went silence. And thankfully, this chap laughed and went, "No, killing seems a little extreme. Maybe you could just cut out my tongue." I went, "Yes, I could do that." Anyway, turned out at the interval, the director came rushing back and said, "You threatened to kill the Prince of Egypt," to his face.
Oh, so there we go. That was the gasp. And what he wants to get rid, he's willing to part with his tongue, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
That's the one body part he's willing to part with. Simon, so you've been working a lot. You said that you're acting, you've been busy for that. So what kind of stuff are you working on? Can you talk about it?
Funnily enough, I've been doing some horror films. Yes. So I've just done the first film out on set since lockdown, which has been fantastic. It was interesting because everybody has to wear masks up until the take, and then we can all take them off, which seems a bit crazy because then we all take them off and we all breathe the same air and then we all put them back on again. But it was fun. Yes, there was a film called Mosaic, and I got to play my first detective, which is why I've got no hair at the moment, because I was Detective Foley. It was quite interesting. Playing a detective, somebody quite straight. As you probably kind of worked out already, I'm quite a character actor. So me playing something straight like that has been quite interesting. But no, it was fun. And I got spoilers. Can I do spoilers?
Yeah. No. Frank hates spoilers.
That's not up to us. I think it's up to the filmmakers.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the filmmakers would get very upset, and then you really would turn into a butterball. They'd send you right straight to hell, sweetie.
Oh, Irene, we forgot about Nightbreed.
Oh yeah, Nightbreed.
That's another Clive Barker thing, right?
Yeah.
You got to show your face in that one.
I did. I don't look very much like this, actually. But yes, so I think Clive's thank you for doing 2 Hellraiser films and all that shitty makeup was he gave me Nightbreed, where I had no makeup. I had a false tattoo, a false nipple, in which a tattoo glued because their mother, I had a medal pinned to my nipple and that got ripped off in one scene. So
wow, they just your vagina and the stomach for one, nipple piercings in the other. They're going for it with you.
Irene, I'm just a sexy beast. What can I tell you?
You are a sexy beast. So
I wore a nipple clamp in a movie, but I can't tell you what the movie.
Oh.
So as comics, loving horror, I always saw the parallel between comedy and horror too, because I feel like good horror always has to have that element of surprise at the end. You can't see the scare coming, just like you can't see the laugh coming. And I think when I first saw Hellraiser years ago, I was literally fucking terrified, because if I had to picture what hell looked like and what goes on in hell, it would be Hellraiser. Being ripped apart by these demons, right?
You never saw 27 Dresses, did you?
No, I never have. But I'm guessing that Clive Barker was probably born and raised a Catholic. Am I right?
You're very, very astute. Yes, he was born a Catholic. And you know, pretty much every piece of his work, you will find throwbacks to that. You will find references to all of those. So yeah, there's always seems to be a removal man. I can't quite work that one out in all of his films.
Right.
And always religion.
Right. My biggest clue was the gash in your stomach. You know, nothing about masturbation though, so I was sorely disappointed. But you were blind, so that helps a lot.
And we were actually, the Cenobites are actually the Order of the Gash. That is actually our official name. I'm not making that up. That was
Irene's band name in high school too.
Well, you know what, Jason? If it's not, it's gonna be. I'm gonna join a band just so I can call it that because I fucking love it. It's almost as good as Frank's stiff upper clit for my next album. Frank, that's I don't think that could ever be topped. So Simon, so you did Hellraiser 1, Hellraiser 2. Now I forget what happened because I have these memory lapses. But did the Cenobite can't die? They're undying. So what happened? Why didn't he bring you on to the other Hellraisers?
Because production moved over to LA. So we made the first two in London at Pinewood. Oh, well, the first one was in Cricklewood Production Village. The second one was at Pinewood Studios. And then the third one, Clive moved over to LA and production moved over to LA. We always joked on set that we'd started the first movie in Cricklewood. The second was at Pinewood. The third one had to be in Hollywood. It just was a natural progression. And it was, but not with us.
It's definitely the national progression of the stages of hell. So you're going closer to the nucleus, that's for sure. With LA,
wood is a good. Seeing as you've got the gash, you've got to have the wood as well, haven't you? Has to be in there somewhere.
It has to be in there somewhere. So now, so do you get to work with like all the people are you still in contact with the people that you worked with and did theater with?
Yeah, so the four Cenobites, so Barbie and Nick and Doug and I, we meet up. Well, we used to meet up. Doug's now moved to the States. We used to meet up at Heathrow Airport. We'd live our ordinary little lives over here. Then we'd meet up at Heathrow Airport, and then we'd fly out to the States, and we'd be picked up in a stretch limo and taken to a lovely convention and treated like royalty, and fawned over and hit upon and all sorts of wonderful things. And then we'd fly back and go back to our normal little lives. So it was kind of. It was a nice way of having celebrity that you can kind of turn on and turn off. Because I think
that's exactly what I experience. I go into a convention center, I'm a huge star. The minute I walk out of it, I'm just a regular guy that, you know, have to wait up line for the airplane and everything, you know.
Frank, you're an icon.
Frank, you are. There's nothing normal about that.
But my iconness is all based on square footage. It's where I am. If the minute I walk out of the convention center, my stardom is gone until I go back in again.
What's the name of that iconic horror actress who wears all the blacks and has got the very big bazooms?
Elvira.
Elvira. Yeah.
So Elvira, I see at a lot of conventions over in the States. And then a little bit later at the airport, you'll see the actress who plays Elvira. And she does exactly the same. She doesn't look anything like Elvira. She's like a kind of your warmest, loveliest mum.
Right.
And she's there at the airport and she's kind of gone back into being her. It's a good thing to be able to do. I think it must be awful to be famous all the time and to not be able to go anywhere without people being
right.
You know, I have a feeling that I was thinking about this, that gigantic celebrities now have a way maybe to go out in public anonymously, is they can just always wear the mask now for the rest of, even after the pandemic is over, they can, because I think people in masks are always going to be around from here on in, even after it's over. So that might be, you know, a way for Tom Cruise to go to Taco Bell, you know, and just hang out.
I mean,
exactly where he belongs. Taco Bell. No, Taco Bell is delicious. Tom Cruise doesn't even deserve Taco Bell. But you're right, Frank. I think people can go incognito now, unless they're like, you know, had Betty Davis eyes, you know, like some very significant, you know, beautiful Violet. I don't know where I'm going with this. Like Liz Taylor, I'm sure but now with contacts, so I'm not making any sense. The point is that you can go out, Frank. You're right.
You saw Elizabeth Taylor, you'd be like, holy shit, Elizabeth Taylor is a zombie walking.
She's a zombie. She's coming back.
I can imagine you do get recognized, though. You've got a distinguishable look.
I think you could work with Elizabeth Taylor in Butterball 8. That might be.
If you could see Simon right now, because this is again, this is a podcast. But the minute I met Simon, he's sitting on a couch, and in the background, our producer didn't know that this was a dummy because she's very realistic looking, but it's an old woman sleeping, just like a slob, just sitting there sleeping. Very real.
Yeah, this was one of the characters I played. So this is Mrs. Wiltshire. So this is a prosthetic that they gave me after the last day's shooting. They gave me the prosthetic, and she's quite amazing. She's I'm 85, you know, and I don't know why I got cast as an 85-year-old woman, but they did it anyway, and it was great fun to do, Irene.
Like a twisted Mrs. Doubtfire.
This is like a Jack moment.
It's so realistic. All I can say is, yeah, sure, that's a prosthetic.
Oh, wow. Okay. She's just literally ahead so that you had to put her on, right? Is that it? She goes over your head?
Yeah, she's bits of prosthetic. So there were bits, because it was quite a large role, so there were lots of movement in the face on that one. So it was good. Silicone. That's silicone, whereas Hellraiser days, it was all latex. So
that's right. Latex, everybody has allergies, you know, and now silicone is not only good for women's breasts. Actually, they stopped doing that. They're using saline now. But silicone is very comfortable and flexible. Sounds like you really were in hell during Hellraiser with not being able to see or breathe for 8 hours. That sounds like, weren't you claustrophobic? That really does sound like terrifying.
Yeah. I got very claustrophobic. There was one day I sat there and I just started to blubber. I started to cry because I felt so sorry for myself. Because normally on a set, you know, you read the newspaper, you talk to other people, you read a book, you joke, and I just could sit there with my bloody thoughts, thinking, when's this going to end? And it was like being at the dentist.
I can relate.
Go to the dentist and sit in the chair and you think this will be over soon. You just need to put up with it for a little bit longer. And don't say stop, because you just have to go through it all again. And that's what Hellraiser was like. And when they offered me Hellraiser 2, I had some big thoughts about whether I really wanted to put myself through that for about 10 seconds. And then I went, yeah, I want to do another film.
Sure.
Were there jokes you made in the beginning when you put the costume on, you made jokes, and then it got old after a half hour? And then you're sitting there thinking, is there another joke I can make, or anything I could do in this freaking costume? Can you do the tongue thing?
So to get my tongue, because it was 3 inches thick, the latex, I had to get my tongue 3 inches out of the front of my face. And then you could just see that. So yeah, I was seriously good at tongue sex by the end of Hellraiser.
Wow, that's amazing. So if you had to pick some of your other favorite, like there's Clive Barker and other, like Wes Craven, like who are some of your favorite horror filmmakers?
So on Nightbreed, I got to work with David Cronenberg, who is one of my iconic filmmakers.
Oh, that's great.
And he was the sweetest, gentlest of men, really quietly spoken. I think he's Canadian, really quietly spoken. He had his family on set, and just
what
the most.
What movie was this?
Sorry?
Nightbreed.
I'm sorry. What was it?
Nightbreed, and with David Cronenberg. David Cronenberg was acting in it.
Oh, okay, cool.
John Carpenter.
Oh, wow.
He's
Great.
All of that ilk.
What about Stephen King? He's one of my favorites, and I love him on Twitter. I just love him on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
I think is wonderful. And you know what? If it wasn't for Stephen, Clive, we probably wouldn't, any of us know Clive Barker, the name Clive Barker. He was so generous to make that quote for when Clive was starting out, that I have seen the future of horror and its name is Clive Barker.
Wow.
And that's a very generous thing to do to another horror writer. But one of the picked the horror genre was because it was quite empty at the time. he realized there was a lot of space there for writers to do well. So
yeah, it's like the retweet, right, Frank, of horror filmmakers being endorsed like that. That's amazing, because he is the king of horror, Stephen King, literally.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know that story. That's amazing that he said that, like, about Clive Barker.
Yeah, very generous. I'd love to work with Stephen King. I'd love to go to Maine, you know, and
I saw his house when I was in Maine. Actually, I was in Maine doing a convention, a Comic-Con in Portland, Maine, and we drove by his house.
What does it look like, Frank?
My point is, there's not a lot to do in Portland, Maine, but yeah, it was cool, you know.
What did it look like, Frank? His house?
I didn't see it, but it was just behind a gate. I didn't really get that good a look at it.
Oh, it was behind a gate, of course.
Yeah, it was.
I have a quick story about when I went to find Stephen King's house before GPS. We were following the directions that this girl in a coffee shop gave us from Bar Harbor to Bangor, and we're driving down this 2-lane road, and there's a car crashed in the middle of the road. A group of people standing in the woods on the side, outside the woods on the side of the street, watching, and there's paramedics behind the car that was crashed. That was the only car in the area too. It was a 1-car accident that somehow managed to crash into something in the middle of the road. And they're pulling a bloody woman out of the car, unconscious. It was horrifying. And I thought, Stephen King writes this town. So we get closer, and there's this gigantic old Lincoln and a big cardboard sign on the back of the Lincoln that said, "Repent, sinners, all go to hell." And this tall old man with a red sport coat was letting all these kids in the car. It was just a weird scene. And then another block was the main street that Stephen King lives on. So we made a left, and there was his house, big red Victorian, with the gate was open, the big iron gate with the bats and the cobwebs.
Oh, okay. So you got to peek inside, whereas Frank didn't get that luxury.
I didn't even see the cobwebs.
It was like engraved in the fence, the steel fence.
It must feel great for Stephen King to know that everybody is looking for his house. And,
I know, that's horror in itself.
Yeah. Well, he kind of went there as a concept in the book Misery. You know, that was like about a crazy family. You know,
one of my favorite horror films of all time, and for a horror film to win an Oscar, it's almost impossible. And she won an Oscar for that. Kathy made
great.
Oscar.
Great. I think the only horror movie to win Best Picture, correct me if I'm wrong, is probably Silence of the Lambs, right?
I think you're right.
I think you're right too, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100%, but it was a great horror film too, and I'm sure The Birds did a little something too with Alfred.
Yeah, well, The Birds was very successful, but Hitchcock never got an Oscar, never got a competitive Oscar in his lifetime.
Yeah.
At the end of his life, they gave him an honorary Oscar, and he gave the best acceptance speech ever. I can't do it justice because it was all in the timing. He just stood at the microphone, looked at the audience and said, "Thank you," and then walked off the stage.
That's it. Thank you. That's it. Although I heard that, you know, we now know that he might have been Hitchcock might have been a giant cock. If you've seen the follow up with what was the woman's name that played?
It was Tippi Hedren.
Hedren.
Yes. Yeah. And
I went to Monsterpalooza and I met Tippi Hedren. I was like so in awe to meet my kind of heroine. And what a beautiful, elegant, lovely lady she still is.
Yeah, and a great advocate for animal rights.
Oh, is she? I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And actually,
that, Frank, I love your cat.
She just threw up, by the way. But,
Jason, okay, so that's why Frank left the screen for a few seconds, and that's why he was asking you about like what we were talking about, because Millie's been sick, but he took her to the vet. This is just a little follow-up, and she's fine, and she's finally facing the camera, everybody.
I was about to say that Tippi Hedren did a movie called Roar with her husband at the time, and he was like a kind of a crazy animal advocate, and he believed in like we should interact with lions and tigers and they went and they filmed all these things with real tigers and stuff, or lions or whatever, and everyone involved in the movie was seriously injured. Melanie Griffith,
Wow.
her daughter, had like half of the top of her head scratched off.
Oh my God. You know what? This sounds like The Tiger King. All right. Sounds like
I didn't watch The Tiger King, but Roar is a movie you can find, and it's a really fascinating thing to watch.
I think that's on Amazon Prime or
yeah, it's around for sure.
Oh, it is? I didn't even, I have to see it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. She is amazing. And Alfred Hitchcock, despite all the rumors, or not rumors, but I'm sure she's telling the truth. He was a cock, but he was a brilliant horror filmmaker. And, you know, obviously probably an impetus for Stephen King, who's my favorite, especially as Frank mentioned. Misery is one of my favorite of all time. I felt like that for the past 4 years. What do you all have, amnesia? When Trump was fucking president, actually. You know, that's how I felt the whole time. We were talking about politics, Simon, right before a little bit. I was asking you about the climate there with COVID. And
yeah, I was saying that in Downing Street at the moment, we have a Trump clone called Boris Johnson. Yeah, he's an impersonator. He's a Trump impersonator, but he hasn't quite got the gumption or the guts. So, yeah, a lot of the stuff he's being told to do, he's not doing. So, yeah, he's quite interesting. Although a lot of people here have been double jabbed now. And people say to me, you know,
double jabbed. I love it. That sounds like somebody's been stabbed twice. That's great.
Have you been double pricked? And
yeah, that's Trump and Boris Johnson. Double pricked.
Yeah. Guys, I say, yeah, being double pricked has made me obviously way more intelligent. My IQ has gone up loads, and I'm much more good looking. I get hit. I was going to say both genders, but that would be wrong. These are the entire rainbow of gender, and even dogs and cats in the street. I don't know if it's affected my pheromones, the Pfizer, then made them more attractive, or if it's just generally it is kind of done something to my bone structure. So I say to everybody, go and get double pricked.
You look younger. You definitely look younger.
I think it does make you look younger. I think it's one of the side effects. Yeah, it makes you look younger and more handsome. I'm getting more jobs as well.
Yeah, and you're alive. It makes you more alive. How's that?
Yeah, the side effect that I like is that you don't fucking die of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. You live.
I heard a great quote today. That if you're afraid of the vaccine of still getting COVID, you can still get COVID. It's not going to kill you, but it's like seatbelts will not prevent car accidents, but they'll keep you a lot safer if you get in a car accident. But did you know who said that quote? O.J. Simpson said that today on Twitter. He advocating for the vaccine.
He had his seatbelt on the whole Bronco ride, right? So
yeah, he did. He advocates for the vaccine. Just doesn't advocate for human life. I'm sorry. That's right. That's what we say. But no, the vaccine is very important. It is. And we have a lot of people that are resistant here. They do not want to get vaccinated because they are conspiracy theorists and they really truly believe. And I was doing stand-up in Long Island, and some of the comics were talking about this on stage in an arena that will only work on Long Island, talking about how the vaccine is going to kill you in 2 years. And I'm wondering, do you have this crazy conspiracy theorist? Do you have these conspiracy theories flying in where you are in your area, your part?
In the UK, yeah.
UK, yeah.
Nutters over here as you have over there. Can we say that these days? Probably not. But I just did, so apologies. I don't know what I could say anymore. I'm old, Irene.
Say whatever you want. For the God, it's Frank and Irene. Are you kidding me? We say whatever the hell we want.
Yeah, we just we cancel ourselves eventually.
Oh, well, Frank, I can't even get canceled because no one knows I'm alive. So you can't cancel what's already invisible. But yes, Frank, you're always fucking treading shark-filled waters with your mouth. Okay?
Well, I've been banned all over the place already anyway, so.
That's right. He has the badge of honor is Facebook because, you know.
Facebook, I was banned.
Yeah.
I was banned from Sirius XM Radio.
That's right.
A couple of other podcasts, you know.
Oh, really? I didn't even know about the other podcasts you're holding back.
The David Feldman Show, I'm not welcome on, and I'm not welcome on the...
No, stop!
It's true, and I'm not welcome on the Jimmy Dore Show either.
What is wrong with you? You're always welcome with Irene Bremis, God damn it. I'll always take you open arm. What the hell is wrong with Mr. Feldman?
I don't know. You'd have to ask him, but I could tell you, but it's not what we want to talk about. But then you'd
have to kill me?
This is
like
too
the Prince of
show
Egypt.
we're having. We don't want to get into all that.
We don't want to. We're not going to derail the conversation. We're going to stick to what's really friendly and enjoyable. Talking about COVID and horror.
Yeah, horror is what's enjoyable here.
I had to go cap in hand recently to a podcast producer because one of the TV series I did for Amazon is produced by a couple of teachers, and one of them is a Catholic school teacher. And we went on the podcast and we were very open, and there was bad language and everything else. And his students found it. I mean, like 5 years later, his students found this. And then the school found out about it. And they gave him such a hard time and were threatening to sack him. So I had to go cap in hand to this producer and say, would you mind just, it's awfully, would you mind just taking that episode out? Would that be okay? Could you do that for me? And he did. It was Jimmy Star? Jimmy Star? Jimmy Star. Yeah, Jimmy Star. Anyway, he did. Thankfully, he removed the episode for us. So.
Good.
Well, I mean, you must have some real charisma, which you do clearly, and the allure of you, Simon, to get a producer to do that. You didn't show him your gash. I mean, how did you get this done?
It's a shame, it's a shame. I got all these visual gags set up. So it's a shame. This is a podcast in audio only, so I'm going to describe what I'm doing now. But I had this. So I've got friends in LA. So Ashley Lawrence, who played Kirsty, the lovely Kirsty in the Hellraiser films, we are still very good friends. And she was saying to me, if you're going to do podcasts, you need to get one of these things, which is one of these round lights. You see, one of those things.
Oh, wow.
So I got that because I thought, well, if that's what they're doing in LA, that's what I'm made to do. But what she didn't tell, gosh, that's bright. Let me turn it down.
You have smaller ones.
Oh, yeah. Where do you put it? Because if it's there,
you should get a stand for it.
Lights, but I can't see any of
so
you.
You're lighting yourself, but it does look. I don't even think you really need it. See, Frank and I have natural beauty. We don't need any of these fucking frills, you guys. Look at us. We're stunning as is, right, Frank?
Our lighting is one step away from being in the witness protection program.
You just need, actually, Irene, you just need the tape measure behind you. And the blue wall is the right color. So I wear this.
I have the blue wall behind me. I do have the blue wall behind me. And it makes me happy, even though I feel like it needs to be a little more bright. You know, it's hard when you're on Zoom doing these podcasts, and sometimes you forget because we're so visually stimulated that it's a podcast. So then you have to go into deep descriptions, otherwise it doesn't work.
I thought people could watch this on YouTube, though, can't they?
Yeah, they can watch it on YouTube. They absolutely can. But if you're listening to it on, we're on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, iTunes, and wherever pods live. Obviously, you can't see it. But yes, please go to our YouTube.
Is that why you don't have any pictures on your wall?
It's amazing.
Is that why you don't have any pictures on your wall? Because it's audio?
No, I don't have any pictures on my walls because I don't have any vision these days. That's it. I've been sort of like, I don't need any stimulation in my room. I just need to be in a coma, and sort of clear my head. That's why. I see that you're now, Jason just asked me this question. I see that you've got a lot of little action figures, almost like
look, my wife used to work at Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
So I used to get free Funko Pops and cheap Funko Pops. So anyone that has to do with a horror film or something I grew up with, they're I got Weird Al, Alice Cooper,
nice.
Bob Ross.
I say this as in a completely positive way. Your room is very geeky. and that's a great.
I'm such a geek.
Those are
Tom
all.
Servo and Crow up there.
Yeah, there can't be enough geeks in the world, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, and I
Thank
love
you.
those little action
Thank you.
figures. I have them at home too in my childhood bedroom. Not in this bedroom because Steve is ruining it for me. That's why I got to get him in the next bedroom. But
I have action figures, but they're all blow-up action figures.
Recognize this?
Okay, so he's holding
Bullwinkle, right?
Wally
Bullwinkle.
World.
We got to talk about it, or else
Sorry, folks. Park's closed. The moose out front should have told you.
Nice.
Bullwinkle. Is that
Wally,
a collector's
Wally
item?
World.
Jason?
Marty Moose.
Oh, it's Marty Moose?
Oh, from the
Right.
vacation film, right?
Vacation film, yes.
Okay, I'm failing this test.
This
And
is
the thing on the other side of you, Jason, is that a loop tube?
I'm sorry?
He's a star. He's a star
Oh,
on Luke.
this is a microphone.
Oh,
Oh.
okay.
It's a microphone,
Loop.
Simon. Calm down. Okay? I don't know if you've ever seen any of these in the remote area that you're living in where are you again? We discussed this.
I'm in Lincolnshire, which is where Robin Hood lived. Yes,
Oh,
not far from Sherwood Forest.
So are you in is that like a very rural kind of area?
Yeah, it's one of the most rural areas of England. Obviously,
Oh,
Scotland.
that sounds, because I've been to London, which I loved, but I've always wanted to explore the other parts of England, which I hope to do one day. But I have this image of, I was just watching the movie Anne of the Thousand Days last night, which is about Henry VIII with Richard Burton. And I always love all that English countryside that I see in those kinds of movies.
It's so gorgeous.
It's so pretty. It has to be really gorgeous there, right? Now, what is Lincolnshire mostly outside of Robin Hood? Is there anything else that's like an attraction there other than Simon?
Other than me, there's a place called the Lincolnshire Wolds, WOLDS, and that's a kind of rolling area. It also has a coastline with a really cheesy resort called Skegness on it, which is it's a bit like, it's kind of a poor man's version of Atlantic City.
Wow, I thought Atlantic City was a poor man's version of Atlantic.
Yeah. Hey, we have a poorer version of Atlantic City.
Now you're banned from Atlantic City Radio.
I did mention it in Atlantic City. We liked it. We went on the boardwalk every day and walked.
Oh, the New Jersey Horror Con, right?
That's the one. Yeah, that's right. It was fun.
Now,
New Jersey Horror Con. I thought that was just called New Jersey.
They own to be more specific. Jason, you go to these horror cons all the time, right?
Look at my room.
Yeah, you do all the time. Now, are there
Yeah.
like, when is the next horror con? Let people know, like when the next.
Well, I'm not making any money from it, so no, it's.
Because I want to go.
Yeah, you should come.
I wanted to go to the last one that you went to Carmen Lynch, and you invited Frank too. But thank God neither of us.
We did invite you, just so you know. We did invite
but thank God we didn't go because it was actually not even open, right? It was
virtual. They said it was going on, so we went, but they never said it was virtual.
Oh, and they didn't have it.
They had the roads blocked off.
That theater where they filmed The Blob, Trace, Bill, you and I have done like at least 4 shows there already. That's one of our go-to when we were doing live shows. Yeah.
Yeah, we saw Joel Hodgson do his one-man show there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful theater. That's like a really beautiful theater. So I want to go to one of the horror cons, and if Simon, if you're ever going to be in
August 13th to I'm going August 15th, Sunday, the one in Cherry Hill that I met Simon at.
Oh yeah, I haven't done that one for a while. Was that Days of the Dead or Monster Mania?
Monster Mania.
Monster Mania.
They're having
the monster conventions, they don't have to tell people to mask up before they go, right? They're just all going to be wearing.
They all have masks on.
Yeah.
Michael Berryman. They got. Oh wow. Amanda Beers from Married with Children, Chris Sarandon, Skeet Ulrich, Matthew Lillard, Marty Cove, and William Zabka from Karate Kid and that new show.
Wow.
Why can't I think of it?
Well, Simon, you have to keep us posted when you come back here.
Yeah,
I would love to.
I was supposed to be doing Days of the Dead in Las Vegas last March, and literally the day before I flew out, they shut everything down. So I'm hoping that comes up because I've never been to Vegas, so that would be quite a fun one.
Oh, that'll be a blast.
Yeah. That would be amazing. Okay, so guys, we are running a little out of time. So I want to make sure that everybody talks about what they're working on, upcoming movies without any spoilers. Mr. Simon Bamford, tell everybody where they can find you and what you're working on.
Okay, so Dark Ditties is a series on Amazon Prime. Episodes 1 to 4 are up now. I'm also a producer on that, so that's fun. But I play lots of different characters, including the 85-year-old lady. It's an anthology series, but everything is tied together. We've finished episode 5, and that's due out in the next month, which is cool. That's set in the future. That's called Dads. That's also part of the Dark Ditties. And then we're going into production on the last of the series finale soon. Mosaic should be coming out next year, which is a film where I played the policeman, which I was talking about. The Haunting of Margam Castle has just come out, and I think that's available on streaming services. Then I've got LGBT film that I did called You Are My Sunshine, which is due out. Again, everything's due out at once because of COVID. Everybody's suddenly kind of madly doing post-production work on stuff. So that is also due out soon. And I play bigoted 70s father in that. And 14 Ghosts, which is something that I did my first film on a Zoom call, which was, so that is an LA production, but my character was on a Zoom call. So I did it here in this background, actually. Right. So I don't know when that's due out. I think that's everything.
Wow, you think that's everything? That's a lot. Well, Jesus, COVID has been good for you, huh? Look at you. You've been working your ass off. So that's a lot. I'm happy to see that you're working so much. And are you on Twitter or any of the social media stuff?
So you can do me a great favor and look me up on IMDb, which will help my star rating, which is a very, very fickle thing that some actors are and shouldn't be are obsessed with, leaving me. So if you mind going to IMDb, and if I could just say, and if you could put Alexa, who is Simon Bamford? And if you could play that out for everybody listening, that would do me the world of good.
Well, thanks.
And yes, so I'm at Simon Bamford on Twitter, and I think I'm Simon Bamford 1 on Facebook. On
Facebook and Instagram. Are you on Instagram?
No, I'm not. I'm not on Instagram. I missed the boat. Ashley Lawrence said I should go on it, and I went on it, and I was too lazy to do. I was too many streaming things. I needed a life.
It's a lot. It's ADD, OCD. But anyway, you've got a lot going on. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. It was such a pleasure.
It was a blast to meet you. So much fun.
Amazing to meet you. Thank you so much. And Jason, sweet boy, what's going on in the world of Mr. Jason Pollack?
How can I top what Simon said? But tomorrow night on the Hi, I'm Jason podcast, we took a break from these celebrities and artists. We're talking to a professor of astrobiology, and she works for NASA. Her name's Karen Meach. I saw her do a TED Talk, and I found it really interesting. She's an expert on astrobiology, and she's going to talk to us about comets and meteors and interstellar life. And
wow,
we're going to geek it out tomorrow.
Wow, that's amazing. I want to hear about that. That's incredible.
That's at 7 o'clock tomorrow.
Okay, 7 o'clock tomorrow on
Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube.
Okay, live. Awesome. And Mr. Frank Conniff.
My thing that I've got coming up is Tuesday, August 10th. So if this airs after that, should have go back in time to hear all about this. But Tuesday, August 10th, Trace Beaulieu and I are doing our next live streaming movie riffing show. We're doing a movie called The Beach Girls and the Monster, and it's every bit as good as it sounds. It's $10, and you can watch it live or watch a download later. and it's going to be really fun.
It is going to be really fun. And if you haven't seen these guys in action, you need to check it out. They're so fun. And I will just post whatever the hell I'm working on Twitter at Irene Bremis, on Instagram. And I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. Thank you so much for being part of this show.
Thanks.
And we'll be back next week with a new guest. And we're going to keep you guessing because I don't know who the new guest is going to be. Thanks so much for joining, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Next week.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mother May I podcast with Frank and Irene on Strong Island Entertainment. Check us out next week when Frank and Irene sit down with, you know what? I don't know what these two are going to do next, but we'll see you next week.